Hey YouTube, NICMOR here. I'm back at it finally after a long hiatus with my first educational video on music and production. First thing I'm going to do here is open FL Studio and just show you something I just worked on recently. Basically, if you haven't watched my intro video about what I'm all about, I'm going to start doing shows every month, at least 4 shows a month. And for the first Friday of every month, it's going to be basically a recreate this sound attempt that I'm going to try to do. And the cool thing about it is you can comment and kind of say, you know, if you want me to try to recreate something else, or if you have any suggestions or just questions, anything you have, I'll respond, or I'll try to respond at least. And anything I like, you know, anything that somebody suggests that I like, I'll try to recreate it. So first off, for this week, I decided to recreate the sound and the drop of Space Jesus, Night Shambhala. I think I said that right. If you haven't heard it, this is basically what the drop sounds like. I'll just play it real quick. So yeah, I thought that sound was kind of cool, and it didn't really sound that complicated either, so kind of just wanted to take a stab at it and see what I could come up with quickly. So it looks like I spent about 50 minutes on this, so a little under an hour, and I got something like this. So see what you think, and then we'll go through it. So yeah, you kind of get the gist there. Basically, I opened up a new instance of Massive, just the default patch, which it starts off with 3 square saw waves. I guess it's a square saw 1. So I started off with just that and moved the wavetable position from the left to the right, and I think I added a couple of effects, but I'll show you what it sounds like with just that sound and nothing else at first, or almost nothing else, which is basically, let me turn this off, just this. And yeah, that kind of already, I kind of recognized that sound when I heard the drop in Space Jesus. You know, it was a square saw. It's just kind of a basic, it's definitely a basic sound, but it sounds really cool if you mess with it a little bit. So first thing I did was turn on the filter 1 band reject and put the cutoff all the way up, and then I automated the bandwidth. So what I did was I went into this number 7 stepper. Basically, you can change them here if it's on LFO, and just decided to make, okay, so when I listen to the drop, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4, you know, and it starts over. So I was like, okay, so I just need to make some kind of stepper that goes through some kind of slight modification, you know, every 6 steps, and then it starts over. So I put ratio 1:8, turn on position, I think that's position and sync and not restart, and then I kind of just drew it out and then adjusted it as I listened to it to kind of get something closer. So if you want to hear what that sounds like, I'll turn that on. So that's kind of how I got that sound, and that to me was the basis of the overall sound. And then at that point I started just trying to add some layers here. I picked vulgar and put it up 1 octave, and then I picked needle and kind of just moved around the positions of everything, and I also automated the wavetable position on vulgar a little bit, and then I also turned on modulation. For phase, I put it on number 2 and also automated the phase on that with the same automation. And then these things don't really matter, like you can barely hear the white. I don't think that one's even, yeah, it's barely turned up. Feedback, you know, kind of helps a little bit. I did add I think that's a sine shaper and a clipper, just to kind of get the sound more beefy and louder. And then I added a classic tube, which is just a type of distortion, I believe, through massive. And I turned up the high on the EQ, adjusted the frequency and the low and the boost a little bit, and that kind of gave me this overall sound. I mean, yeah, I know it's not exactly the same, but I feel like if I already got this close in this short amount of time, I think I could probably get it at least really close if I decided to sit down. But I feel like I got the overall gist of it, and I don't really see a reason to sit here and spend a really long time going into it. So on top of that, I slapped a sound goodizer on there. You might laugh, but I use this when I just want to do something really quickly, and it just compresses the sound and beefs it up. And I don't really turn it up a whole lot, but if I'm just trying to get something to sound similar to a finished song quickly, then I just slap that on there. And then I use a lot of these MDA plugins that are free called, or I think the company's called MDA or whatever. They have a whole bunch of plugins that are free. Dub delay, envelope, limiter, round pan, and round pan's what I use for this. If you listen to that drop, it kind of just goes left, right, and it's not exactly on the beat. And actually, when I pulled round pan up, it pretty much did exactly what I was wanting to do already. The timing seemed pretty close to what he did, and the pan was already set to just right in the middle when it starts, and that's exactly what I want. So on top of that, I added an EQ here and basically just went to presets, 40 hertz plus 18 hertz cut, and just moved it over. It starts off on the left. I moved it over to about 100, a little bit above 100. And that just cuts out all the extra lows and stuff like that. And I kind of listened to his mix down a little bit and adjusted it and tried to get it to match somewhat close. And then the last thing I did is I added a compressor, but I didn't use it to actually compress. This is just my way of sidechaining. There's better ways. You can use gross beat and just use there's a sidechain preset, I think, in gross beat. You don't even have to link anything together, but I kind of like doing this because it just works by itself after that, and you can do cool stuff that doesn't always have to be on beat. But basically how I did it was on my kick, I have an 808 and a normal kick. So on my normal kick here, I set it to a channel, which is 10 in this instance, and just added the Fruity Peak controller. And it starts off muted. Make sure you unmute it unless you're trying to use it as a ghost, sidechain. And then I turn up the volume and turn up the tension and turn up the decay because this sample is really short, so I wanted it to last a little bit longer than the sample. And basically on the main drop sound, which is on channel 6, I went to the compressor and right-clicked on threshold and then linked to controller. And I knew that peak controller was on channel 10, so I clicked peak on 10 here. And then I went to inverted so that it does the opposite of what it's doing. So it kind of ducks out and comes back in. And then accept, and basically that'll set up the peak controller to this threshold here. And you can see that it ducks every time the kick comes in. And then I just play with the release and the ratio, just trying to get it kind of to fade in like the song does. And I'm not going to claim to be an expert with this. Usually I just mess around with it until I get something that sounds like what I want. I'm probably using really wacky settings on the compressor and stuff, but like I said, I'm not really using it to actually gain. The gain's at 0, but I'm using it more of a sidechain technique. So yeah, that's basically it. And then if you want to know how I made the little plucky version of it, I basically just cloned the first pattern, or the first patch, and then I added a second band reject down here and automated the cutoff and bandwidth in a different way. I made them plucky like this. So now we have the 7 one up there still going, and then I have a performer with these kind of half triangle plucks going on 1:8 ratio. You can sit there and play with it. Sounds kind of cool. I mean, what I'm realizing a lot, especially when I watch like virtual riot tutorials and just other producers and stuff. A lot of the times it seems like most of the cool sounds and drops and stuff are mostly how you automate and filter those sounds versus like the actual sound itself. I mean, of course the sound matters, but you heard it when I started with it, and it really was kind of boring, when it's just the sound with nothing else happening. But when you start to kind of play with automations and LFOs and everything, then it gets a lot more exciting. So I think that's it for the first one. If you like my tutorial, please subscribe. Well, I wouldn't really call it a tutorial. Kind of like a walkthrough of what I did. Now, if you want, I can go into more depth on this. Just leave a comment and ask for me to do that. But honestly, I think this is pretty close overall. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's close. Otherwise, leave a comment and let me know if there's something else you want me to try to recreate in terms of the actual sound. Keep in mind that this lesson is more of this educational video is really more of I'm going to try to see if I can recreate this sound and less about recreating a drop. So every third Friday I'm going to try to recreate a drop, and if you wanted me to, I could try to recreate the whole drop of this song since I've already started with this, or I can try to recreate a drop of something totally different. But yeah, this one's more of just how did I make the sound. I'm not going to go into the depths of the structure of his song or all that other stuff, or all the different ways the sound might change, but I did do some of it. So just leave a comment, let me know what you want me to do next, or if you have any feedback, and I'll see you on the next one.